Russian prosecutors have launched an inquiry into allegations of doping by Russian athletes at the Sochi Winter Olympics. Moscow denies claims of a state-sponsored cheating program, but has repeatedly said it's ready to look into the accusations and work with the World Anti-Doping Agency. The claims were first made in the Western media and have even now prompted the US to start its own inquiry. Our Washington correspondent, Gayana Chichikan, reports.
With its investigations into European sports officials and Russian athletes, the U.S. is emerging as the world's sports police. Here are some of the reasons why America is best suited for that role. For a start, U.S. prosecutors have plenty of time on their hands because there's clearly no issues to investigate at home.
Major League Baseball players, including huge stars like A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, may face significant suspensions in a massive doping scandal.
I know for a fact 80% of the players that are on my team right now in baseball are taking steroids.
Denver Broncos quarterback Peyton Manning flat out denying a report that he used performance-enhancing drugs. Over the weekend, Al Jazeera aired a documentary claiming that Manning used human growth hormones in 2011.
The use of steroids and human growth hormones is an open secret in major sports leagues in the U.S. But hey, it's not a law enforcement job to deal with it. There are anti-doping agencies for that, like WADA. And U.S. sports giants have great relations with WADA, except they don't let them come close to their athletes.
We rejected WADA participation into our drug policies precisely because they failed to be transparent with us over these very issues.
Americans are only beginning to appreciate European football, which they call soccer, but U.S. prosecutors are already on top of the game with FIFA investigations. While they're at it, they may look into British athletes. Last month, we learned that a British doctor admitted to prescribing banned performance-enhancing drugs to 150 elite sportsmen, including Premier League football players. Some clubs from that league have even played friendlies in the U.S.
In light of the investigation that the U.S. opened into Russian officials and athletes believed to have been involved in doping, I want to ask you if other countries should expect that their athletes can be prosecuted by the United States if there is evidence of doping and if they competed in the U.S.
That's a great question for the Justice Department.
That involves foreign nationals, and also the question is what other countries should expect.
I understand that your question involves other foreign nationals, but you're asking about a law enforcement investigation for which I won't speak.
The U.S. Justice Department is so transparent that we know nothing about its investigations. Supposedly, it has to find a U.S. connection to prosecute a foreign athlete. It could be anything, their participation in a competition in the U.S. or a transaction through a U.S. bank. That way, America can potentially prosecute any world-class athlete. So brace yourselves. In Washington, I'm Gayana Chichikan, RT.
A U.S. inquiry was first reported by the New York Times, citing unnamed sources. However, it has neither been confirmed nor denied by officials. In the comments under the article online, people question the use of U.S. resources on such a probe.
With all the crime and terrorism out there, the Justice Department wants to investigate Russian doping? What a colossal waste of resources. They should be ashamed of themselves.
There are American war criminals walking around free, enjoying their ill-gotten gains. African-American voters are being disenfranchised, but Russian amateur athletes taking performance-enhancing drugs is your priority? And the New York Times top headline?
Russia is the only country involved in systematic doping? Give me a break. It is time the US examined its own athletes a little more closely.
We asked a sports security expert as well as a U.S. politician to give their views on the investigation.
Was an investigation in the USA. It'd be about some sort of money payment, some illegal conspiracy of some kind to do with a financial transaction, I would think. I can't imagine, I don't believe they have any legal ground to investigate doping.
The United States has no business in transgressing foreign boundaries, especially for something that could not pose any possible threat to our national security. Listen, we're not talking about weapons here. We're talking about athletics. And the idea That the U.S. federal government thinks it's okay to go into a foreign nation and enforce U.S. laws there for sports is preposterous.